This is needed if you are going to be traveling anywhere outside of your home country. It's called a passport. Why are passports so important if you're planning on traveling out of your own country? Well, because a passport is something that proves your identity. It tells authorities who you really are. It also tells people where you're from. It speaks of your citizenship. And most importantly, it shows that you've been verified by your own hometown. Just like how countries use a passport to protect themselves from outside invaders, you and I need ways and means to protect ourselves from threats that can cause chaos in your own life. One of the ways we harm ourselves is by neglecting what is important and indulging in things that are useless. And today, we are addressing the topic of negligence. That's right, this temptation to keep on investing our time and our energy into things that don't matter and overlooking the things that really do matter, so that in the end, you can say with me, negligence, you don't own me. Proverbs chapter 25 verse 28 says, "A man without self-control is like a city broken into and left without walls." Can you imagine a city that has no walls, that just lets anybody in with no checks, with no boundaries? That will mean that the citizens who are in the city are not protected from outside harm, and those who are coming to the city to be protected have no guarantee of protection. The Bible tells us that your life needs walls to protect you from outside influences that will cause you to spend your whole life indulging in things that don't really matter and cause you to neglect the things that really do matter. Now, I understand that it's hard sometimes to say yes to the things that really matter and no to the things that don't really matter. Christmas is coming, and this is going to be a real struggle where you're going to neglect taking good care of your health and say yes to the things that you shouldn't really be ingesting. However, discipline is another great way for us to look at this cancer that causes us to neglect the things that's important. But this leads us to a very good question. What is discipline? Discipline is doing what is needed even when you don't feel like doing it. And I believe you should get bonus points if you do it with a good attitude. So many times we come across situations in your life where things have to be done, but you just don't feel like doing it. Can you think of 3 things today that you've neglected because you lack the self-motivation or self-discipline and you put it off till later? Maybe it's homework. Maybe it's replying to that text message that came in a week ago that needs your attention, or as simple as cleaning your room. I can go on more than a dozen things that I've been neglecting over time, and that's why today I chose for us to talk about discipline, so that in the end we truthfully will be able to say, negligence, you don't own me. But look at what the Bible says. In Proverbs chapter 12 verse 1, the Bible says, "Whoever loves discipline loves knowledge, but he who hates reproof is stupid." Ouch. So if you're ready to prove to yourself and to the rest of the world that you're not stupid and that you love wisdom, and we're going to grow in discipline so that we can overcome neglect, I want to give you 3 tangible applications that you can apply right here, right now. Number 1, commit your ways to the Lord. The Bible tells us in Psalm 37 verse 5, "Commit your ways to the Lord, trust in Him, and He will act." Why is this so important? Because many times we think that self-discipline will come from self-motivation. Although that might be true for a day or two, if you want to change your lifestyle of neglect and find joy in doing things that are important and having a good attitude about it, you have to start by inviting God into your day-to-day life. Number 2, push forward in faith. It says in the Bible in Colossians chapter 3 verse 23, "Whatever you do, work heartily as for the Lord and not for men." In other words, it's saying exactly what we've been talking about, which is having a good attitude in what you do, but not looking at the way the world will look at you, but look at your world through the way God sees you at work. When you're pushing forward in faith, you're not working for the outcome of man. You are working for the honor and the praise and the glory of God. Number 3, be consistent. It says in the Bible in 1 Corinthians chapter 15 verse 58, "Therefore, my beloved brethren, be steadfast and constant, always abounding in the work of the Lord, knowing that your work is not in vain in the Lord. You see the many words that's been used over here that's challenging us to be consistent in working our discipline as we live a life pleasing, holy, and acceptable to God. When you're tempted to take the shortcuts, when you're tempted to take a quick break and neglect what needs to be done, remind yourself that you were put here on this world not to live a life of neglect, but to work in discipline as unto God, not for man, and then to live your life out in faith, knowing that the work that you do, God sees, and He will reward you because your work is not in vain. But is there going to be positive outcomes that we can practically experience? Does that really matter? Yes. The reward of a disciplined life keeps you from harmful influences. When you're living a disciplined life, you are able to make wise decisions for your life. Living a life of discipline, the Bible says, will lead a person to success. So the question needs to be asked, how do you want to live your life? Continuing on in negligence or pursuing the success that God has created for you? So let's do a quick recap. Negligence is something that every single person is tempted with. We all want to be a house with no walls, but we know it's not safe. The Bible challenges us to commit our ways to the Lord, to press in with faith, and then to be consistent about it. And it promises us that we will have the life of success that God has ordained for us. Don't be discouraged if you find yourself being tempted and even giving into negligence as you try to press forward in changing the way you live. Just like a wall is built brick by brick, you can start by laying the first brick of fighting against negligence today as you're able to say with me in faith, negligence, you don't own me.